Typically, when a photographer gets on YouTube, they want to share some of the work that makes them look really good, some of their best stuff that they've done. Today, I'm going to do the opposite. Took a photo walk the other day in a local park that I had never been to before, took some of my own advice, and adventured in my own neighborhood. And I wound up at this park that was really beautiful. I got some photos that I thought might be kind of cool, but kind of different. Well, got them back to the computer, and they're pretty awful. They're pretty awful. So I'm going to take you through those. I'm going to show you my really awful work and talk about why they didn't turn out, what we could have done to make them better, and we'll go through and see if any of them are at all savable. Okay, here we go. Let's have a look. We're going to start with this. I really liked this composition because I liked this tree branch that was just jutting over this really nice green meadow area of the park. The sky was kind of hazy. There was some blue in the sky, but pretty hazy. And when I was taking these pictures, I thought, okay, well, this is really, really cool. Like this is a neat composition that I'm excited about. Well, get it to the computer and it looks like this. and obviously this is awful. This is just awful. And why is it so bad? I'll show you. One of the reasons, I'll tell you a few of the reasons why this is so bad. So this was shot at 24 millimeters, 1/640th of a second. Okay, that seems right. ISO 100, yeah, that seems right. Aperture, f3.5. What was I thinking? I wasn't. And I don't know if I just forgot or just, I didn't choose f3.5 on purpose in this situation, certainly. But regardless, that's where this was shot. And I always shoot in manual, so I have full control over shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. For whatever reason, on this day, I lost my marbles, and this was shot at f3.5. Now, f3.5 is not how you want to shoot this because it's a bright, bright, sunny day. The smaller the f number, the wider the aperture, and the more light is coming in. So at f3.5, we're letting in a ton of light, and we have a very shallow depth of field, meaning anything that's out in the background of an image is going to be blurry. It's just harder to get a tack sharp image when you're shooting at a wide open aperture. So what this should have been is probably in the f9, f11, or maybe even higher. And that would have slowed down the shutter speed, but we had plenty of room there. I mean, even if we slowed it down to 1/200th of a second, we're going to be okay at a higher aperture. And what that would have done is brought this into focus. We would have had the background in focus, and we would have had a shot that isn't quite as overexposed. Is this one savable? No, it's not. There's really not much you can do about this soft focus and the blown out sky and the trees and the sky. So I thought this might have been a pretty cool composition. Totally blew it, and it's not. Very similar story here. I liked this fence. Again, not an award-winning composition, but I just thought it would be a good exercise for me. And I mean, it was the same mistake. I mean, again, I'm in f3.5, 35 millimeters. Why? Just an oversight, and I just missed it. So, I mean, this place is only 2-3 miles away, so I could always go back and try again. I don't know that these are compositions that are worth going back and really dedicating myself to getting, because I think there's much better work out there, better compositions out there. But I was there, and I thought I would try to get something, and this was the result. And it's just very, very poor. Again, this really isn't savable when you're that blurry, and look, it got the foreground. It got the foreground pretty crisp, and that's what those high apertures, low numbers, the f2.8s, 3.5s is going to get you. So obviously the camera locked in focus on that foreground element, and then just blurred out everything else. So again, I should have stopped down to, I don't know, f11, f16, I don't know, go somewhere around that route and then see, and then just move from there. But that's the mistake there. And again, that carries over here. I liked this composition because I liked these, you know, the way that these two green bushes were lit up and just kind of framed the background and these bushes in the back just had that light just kind of kissing the tips there, which I thought was just really, really pretty. But I totally buggered it up. I was on an f3.5 kick, I guess. I don't know. I just didn't check it. So lesson learned. So maybe you can learn something from that too. But holy cow, it's a little embarrassing for me to even go through these because I didn't expect to share. But I thought it was a good opportunity to say, hey, when you mess up, it's good to go in and learn why you messed up and how you can learn from it and get out there and do it right next time. So again, this would have been a far, far better photo. Would have been pretty cool, I think. I love the shapes and the composition's really nice. I think this could have been a neat photo, but again, the aperture was just way off and messed it up. Yeah, same story. I loved the staggered trees all in the distance here. But such a bright day, harsh lighting conditions. So I think maybe on like a misty, foggy morning where you don't have that harsh light coming in would make this composition much better. I think with that harsh light and shadows, there's just not a lot of saving this one. So that combined with the wrong aperture just makes this photo go straight into the trash bin. Let's look at this photo here. This one, I moved it up to f6.3, 1/400th of a second. Okay, again, the composition isn't spectacular, but I think this one at least has some potential to be saved a little bit. So if I don't know, I mean, we've got some blues and greens, so I wonder if we were to go in here, we could probably leave white balance the same for now, or if we did auto, what does it do? Yeah, daylight might make more sense, kind of pull some of those greens out. But I mean, we could take our blues here, see we select our blues in our color mixer and just bring down the luminance. We're gonna get some of that sky back, which is good. We could increase the saturation of the sky a little bit. You don't want to do it too much, it starts to look really unnatural and bad. But so we could do that, and then we can move to our greens and pull our greens up. Interesting one, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference. You see, it just isn't doing much there. It's probably because these aren't actually green, they're actually more yellow. So then we can select our yellows and then move the hue over to the green. Yeah, look at that. It takes that and just brings the green back into our grass and our trees. And then from there, we can increase the luminance and maybe even the saturation. I don't know. Not great. Again, this is not a great image, but it just shows that there might be a little bit of room to bring back some of what we missed there. We might decrease the dehaze a little bit. Clarity, bring up the texture a little bit. When we add dehaze, you can see what it does. It really adds to the saturation of the photo. So again, we could play with this and at least make it a better shot than the original raw file. I mean, at least we have focus in the trees, we have focus in the grass, we have focus all around. I don't see anywhere that's out of focus on this one, so that's good. It's just that the composition isn't fantastic, but at least it's a photo that was worth saving if we were to decide to pursue that one anymore. And this is one more. You can see it was kind of a hazy day. The ocean was 2 miles away or so, so some of that fog was just kind of rolling in and just gave a hazy look. I liked this composition because, I don't know, I like that park bench. I love this tree, these big gnarled trees and the branches and the way that the light was coming in person. It was just very, very beautiful. And frankly, I didn't do a great job of capturing this. Let's see what our settings were here. F11 is good. That's about where I wanted to be. 1/50th of a second is probably a little slow, certainly for handheld. Should have been probably around 1/100th, which meant the aperture could have come up a little bit, so maybe around F9, and that would have given us a little more room on the shutter speed. But if let's say we were to hit the auto button here, it definitely helps. Definitely helps to get some of that detail in the leaves, which I really like. We might pull up the shadows even more, maybe. Highlights. I don't know. At least I feel like there's some room in here to make this a better photograph. We could probably do the same thing with the greens. See if the yellow has been interpreted as green, which it has. So if we take those yellows and just kind of add more of a green hue to them, that helps make it look more how it looked in person. I'll probably leave the rest alone. Yeah, somewhere in there. We can look up at our histogram here and see just how, like, to the left is darks, to the right is whites and brights and highlights. And you can see how it's really peaking on the left. So we might take our midtones and move those over. It makes a tiny bit of difference. We could move our highlights up, which makes a tiny bit of difference. But really the way to move that whole thing is with our exposure up here. But that's going to start to blow it out pretty quickly. But we could move it just a little bit and then maybe pull some blacks out. And then we could come down to the dehaze section. And dehaze, add some dehaze, which will take some out of the foreground a little bit. I like to move the clarity down, usually to around -10 or so. Kind of just gives it a much softer look, and then add some of that texture back. Even if we go to clarity to -20, texture to +10, seems like a good ratio that works out in most photographs. And then play with the dehaze and either see if we want to add some or remove. In this case, I probably want to add just a little bit. We could throw a vignette on there. That starts to bring the depth of this photo back to what it looked like in person. But again, it's not one that is an award winner for sure. So there you go. Photos that I messed up. Some of them might be kind of savable. Some of them are just absolutely not. So in this case, I think I would probably just delete these ones, forget that day happened, go out again and do better next time. Next video is going to be on my trip to the desert where I did not mess up. Pretty proud of those pictures. They're really great, I think. So I'll share those here along with some of the process of how those photos were gotten, just majestic sunsets and really, really, really great time out there. Thank you for being here. Please leave a comment if you'd like. You can feel free to criticize my pictures in this video because I did. You might as well too. So that'll be fun. Let me know if there's any topics you want covered. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would love it if you do. We have a ton of fun here and I would really like to have you on board. So we've got a lot more coming down the pipe. We're going to do a lot of fun things and I hope to have you along. Thank you for being here.